P. Foley, and right now I'm taking a little drive. I'm caught in traffic. I'm gonna go see my Uncle John, and the last few days I've talked to some clients, some potential clients, some various people that have needed help, and for whatever reason, it's brought me back in time. I don't know. Maybe some people would call it a trigger. I talk to certain people who have a similar background as I do, a tough childhood, come from humble beginnings, no money, no foundation, no stability. And when I talk to people, without foundation, money, stability, it brings me back to where I came from. As I sit in my car, I sit in my house, when I talk to my friends and family, there's a part of me that's still the old me, the uneducated me, the wild me, the daring, the take chances, the do whatever it takes. And it's odd, right? Because I don't think about that very often. I don't think about the guy that had to survive. I don't think about,
you're still on the fastest route.
like, all the instances, right? I remember having a scooter. My dad got me this scooter. It was like $300, and I was all excited. I had this scooter, and I drove, and I remember, I forget what it was, but I don't know, maybe the dog got out, something happened, and I drive over to Carlton Park. It's like really 2 streets over, and like you're in Carlton Park. And Carlton Park, my understanding, is kind of gone now, but Carlton Park, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, it's like Compton. Like, it was straight. Like, people didn't have doors. People were outside with like garbage cans, like warming their hands up on fire. People were, it was crack. People were doing crack, and they were jacked, and they were like, they'd mug you for your jacket, for your shirt, for your pants, for your shoes. And I decided to go through there on my scooter. I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was there for some reason, and it wasn't to get crack. I'll tell you that. And I pulled over, and I remember the guy, like, he kind of waved me down, and I put my visor up, and you don't realize, like, a fist can go right through your visor, and this guy, like, just sucker punched me, like, boom, right through the visor. Because I lifted it up. I was a dumbass. And where I came from, there was no room to be a dumbass. You either survived or you didn't. And I just think of being part of a gang initiation where I'm in 9th grade, man, like, and I'm going to private school, but I'm living in the hood, right, in Central Islip. And I go and I visit this kid as a friend. He's on Smith Street, and I walk out, and I'm like, oh, and there's like 50 people, and I'm like, shit. And I know if I go the other way, it's like I'm kind of making a right, but I could go left. But I know as soon as I gotta go right, I gotta go through them, because if I go left, they're going to chase me. It's like a dog chasing a cat. So I know that I gotta go right, and I go right, and boom, they just block my path. And I'm like, yo, I don't want problems. And they're like, you fight him or you fight all of us. And it's some kind of gang initiation. This guy's like, I don't know, trying out for the gang. And I was like, okay, like, I'll fight him. And Like he comes up, boom, we just start throwing hands. I throw 2 punches and I grab him and I kind of get him on the ground. I flip him over me. It's no MMA. It's just, like quick reaction time, 9th grade. And I get on top of him, boom, boom, and I hit him a couple times and I knock him out. He's unconscious. And I instantly go to cover myself because I think like I'm about to get hit. And the guy goes, postulate, right? Like it's Spanish, right? Like it's the Spanish gang. It's like, you can pass. So I start to go and I'm like, oh man, I better move quick before they change their mind. And I start to walk and all of a sudden, like it was like 1,002, 1,003, 1,000. Like I got up and started to walk, but I didn't want to run, but I started to walk. And the guy that I just fought, they gave him a crowbar. And right as I turn around, I see him and he's swinging the crowbar right at my head. And I go, like this, just like basic boxing move. It hit my hand, it hit my side of my head. And dude, it hurt. And I was like, run. And I ran and I thought I was quick. This guy's running behind me and takes the crowbar and hits it right into he throws it because he can't catch me. I'm running like with pure fear. And it hits me and I don't even feel any pain. I just feel like my leg's sweating. And I'm like, why is my leg sweating? And it's kind of weird when you're scared and your leg's sweating, but my leg was sweating and I looked down and like it was gashed open. I mean, it split the back of my hamstring open. And I was like, because I picked up the thing and went to run, like to hit him back with it, because we had separated from the gang. But then I was like, why am I sweating? I looked down and I was like, oh boy. And then of course, like I started limping. I don't even know if I had the limp, but my mind told me like, holy, look at what your leg looks like. It was just split wide open. Like parts of the muscle and stuff were sticking out. And then I think about the times that I would go hang out with friends or something in Central Islip, and people would have these bright ideas like, let's go over to the Coca-Cola factory. I'm like, what are we gonna do at the Coca-Cola factory? Oh, we're gonna go over there and like, I don't know, break in. I'm like, huh? Like, I only went one time. I remember like going in this fence and like we were kids, like I'm like 9th grade, we're talking 9th grade, right? We go in this fence and they're like, oh, there's people. Oh. Like, everyone acts scared. I don't know, like now I just walk in. You probably just walk in, act like you own the place and they wouldn't even notice. So I walked in and next thing you know, like we're hiding under a truck and it's like these things. And then I think about like going to St. John the Baptist, and even though I'm out of Central Islip, I'm still living there, and the people and the comments, and like when I was in the street, if I did walk to the corner, if I did something, it was like, it's always a fight. There was always like a gang member. Like, I don't know how old I was. Maybe it was like the senior year of high school, maybe a little bit after. And that same guy that I had got into the gang fight with, which I was like part of his initiation, the one that swung the crowbar. That's right. 4 years later, I'm getting ready to go to Alabama. Me and Sean, guy that I grew up with, we're in my backyard and we're pumping weights, and I'm getting ready for college, getting ready to go to Alabama to play ball. So I'm lifting like crazy, and I'm a skinny kid, so I'm lifting. And all of a sudden I see this guy like, circling in his bicycle in front of the house. Sean's like, you know the guy? I'm like, no, I have no idea. Some Spanish dude. I don't know. So I was like, what's up? He's like, what's up? Like, so I walk outside to talk to him. I have no idea. And he's on a bike and he goes, what's up? And I was like, I don't know. Do I know you? What's going on, man? What do you need? And he says, you don't remember what I did to you? And like, it was 3 years forward. I never saw the guy again. It was a pretty quick moment in my life, and I reached down and like, I kind of pulled the back of my shorts up and I got this scar there. And I goes, everything to do with this? And he goes, with a big smile on his face, and I just beat that guy. I mean, I just started punching him. And I remember I had an old Toyota pickup truck, and he was just, his head was just bouncing off of it because I was just rapid fire. And, I'd been boxing for a few years, and, didn't even knock him out. He just kind of bounced off of it, but he couldn't throw anything back. And I was so upset, like that anger of being jumped by gang members, being that initiation. I was like, hey, I'm working out, I'm strong, I'm going to fight. And I literally, I'm beating the guy up. I mean, I kicked him, I kneed him, everything you could possibly do to someone I was doing. And some guys came out that I knew in my neighborhood that when I was a kid, we would kind of ride bikes and stuff like that, but people turn into gang members and rival gangs, and I have no idea who's in what gang because I just go to school, play football, run track, and do my thing and stay away from all that. Anyway, he comes out, he sees me, he's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. So the guy ultimately runs away. And I don't know, 10 minutes later, if that, these two dudes come up, Dean and Don. I don't know. Someone told me that they were in a gang. I don't know. Two big brothers. They were I don't know, 6'2", 250, these stacked dudes. And they were known to be crazy. They were known to be guys that carried shotguns with them. And they pulled up right in front of my house. And I'm talking to this other guy that I used to ride bikes with and call him Danny. But now I had to call him 8-Ball because he was in a gang. And all of a sudden these guys rode up and oh man, oh you guys jumped, and Danny, instead of calling me Roger or anything, he's like, the white boy beat your man's butt, kind of like that, more slang. And he's like, nah man, he said you all jumped him. He's like, nope, just the white boy. I don't even have a name. I'm like this impersonal thing, right? Just the white boy. And I'm scared because I know the reputation of these two guys. I mean, there's rumors that they've shot people, and they're bad dudes, and they're probably, I don't know, 3-4 years older than me. So you know them, but you don't know them. Maybe you knew them when they were kind of younger, but not when they got into that life. And next thing you know, they're going, all right, man, well, and I'm like, now I'm having to be tough. Sean's there, and Danny, the gang member, so 8-Ball's there, and some of his crew are there, and everyone's standing there. And I was like, hey man, you want to fight me? I'll fight you too, blah, blah, blah. But in my heart, I was scared. And it's just that fear of having to deal with that all the time, as a young guy. I mean, from starting experiencing that stress in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th and 8th grade were nightmares. I mean, I took the bus, I got jumped. I walked home, I got jumped. Until I was a quarterback, and Rodney Young, biggest guy in the school, he was 6'2", 250 in 7th grade and could bench 225 15 times already. I said, Rodney, man, I'll give you my ring dings and my some change. Can you be my bodyguard? And I remember the first time I walked home with Rodney, great guy, God rest his soul. He really was big beast of a man. I mean, just had scholarship offers in 9th grade to every college you could think of. But he walked me home, and he said, all of a sudden these other guys came out. And I'm thinking he's going to protect me. He's going to be like, hey man, you guys step back, da-da-da, Foley's with me, that kind of thing. And he goes, listen, y'all jump him, then I'm gonna fight. Y'all want to fight him one-on-one? I was like, huh? And Rodney just walks over to me, he goes, come here. He goes, if you don't take these guys on one-on-one, you'll never live it down, brother. He's like, you got to do it, win or lose, you got to stand up to him. He's like, I'll be here to make sure no one jumps your back, so you don't have to worry about that, but you got to do it. That little talk from Rodney Young, can't say I won, I can't say I lost, but I had some fights that day, 2 or 3. It's fight this guy, then fight this guy, then fight this guy, but at least it was one-on-one. But that kind of started boxing, because then I said to my dad, I gotta, there's a boxing gym, Dad, I gotta know how to fight. And after this other kid came to my house, I think his name was Alfredo, it was a long time ago. Alfredo showed up at my house with, you know, 2 other kids on their bicycles and wanted to fight me, and I was like, okay, we'll fight. And my dad had said, hey, real men don't fight, you know, real men talk things out. But you know, my dad didn't come from the neighborhood that we were in. He didn't understand. So me and this kid Alfredo get into a fight, and no one really hurt anyone. It's probably about a tie. But afterwards, I felt bad. I disobeyed my dad. You know, my adopted dad's trying to help me, and here I am fighting. He told me not to do certain things, like stay out of the fight. If they push your buttons, like don't think about that stuff. And I'm in the backyard, and I'm crying. I'm not crying because I'm hurt. I'm crying because I'm like kind of scared what my adopted dad's gonna say. And my dad, all of a sudden he comes to the window. He goes, hey man, what are you doing? And I was crying, so I was like trying to wipe my tears. So he's like, you crying? I'm like, no sir, no sir. He's like, you're not crying about that fight you were just in. And I'm like, you saw it? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I understand now. You can.
At the light.
He's like, are you hurt? And I said, no. He said, why are you crying? I said, I know you don't want me to fight, but I don't know how to deal with this. Like, you know, they're always trying to fight me. And he said, I understand. And he said, I'll get you some boxing gloves, and you can join the box, and then you can start learning to defend yourself. It's hard, man. Where I grew up in CI, there was, I don't know what it was. Maybe it was me. Maybe there was some arrogance or something on my part. But I was a skinny little kid, and it just seemed like every dude wanted to fight. Every dude wanted to jump me. Every dude wanted to snag my sneakers. I was like, my goodness, like, does it ever end? And just that, again, 7th and 8th grade were just like, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade were kind of brutal. And, you know, I think, you know, everyone would say today it's like bullying. And you know, the weird thing is even though there's that dark side of me that had to deal with that stuff, I'm no victim. I'm a guy who, those incidences, those fights, that environment, that, you know, the crackheads in Carlton Park, the fights, the people who wanted to rob you, the people that would pull a gun, the people that, you know, pulled bat, like all these different things, it gave me a fortitude, like a strength. It made me who I am today. Like when, I don't know, like, you know, like I said, that kid comes back, he's circling on the bicycle, I beat the hell out of him. Dean and Don come in, and then we end up not fighting. They're like, all right, bet. And the next night, a bunch of guys show up at my house. I got this girl over playing ColecoVision, because that's what you do. And I hear these noises. I look outside. I see the gang members. My dad was like putting up my graduation picture. I'm a senior in high school, and just about to leave St. John the Baptist. I know there's 3 of them. I know I'm by myself. I know my dad's sleeping. I know this girl that's over my house chilling, like, you know. And as I go down the stairs, I see a hammer, because my dad was putting up my senior picture in the living room. And I grabbed the hammer, and by the time I got outside, they were already on my front yard, and they kind of surround me, and I just swing. I mean, the first swing, I swing it as hard as a man could possibly, you know, a 6'3", 177-pound guy could actually swing a hammer, and I swing it right at the guy's head, and he ducks, and I'm glad he ducks. But then another guy hands him a gun and says, shoot the white boy. And next thing you know, I'm looking down the barrel of, you know, a 6-barrel, you know, gun. I don't know what it is, 38, 45, I don't know, a gun aimed at my face. and they hand it to the guy, and they're like, shoot the white boy, and I look at him and I see his hand, like he's gonna shoot me. He's starting to pull back, and I just tuck, duck, and run, and it's literally like a scene out of whatever that movie was, when the football player, not Friday, but that movie. I run and I literally jump through, and the guy shoots bullets into my house. And I'm on the phone. I jump down. I'm on the girls screaming. They're shooting bullets into my house, and I'm on the phone. I'm like crawling like this. I'm going, and I called 911 and I say, hey, I need police, da da da. And I said, people are shooting. They said, how many? I go, I don't know. How many? Like, lady, I'm not going to stick my head up and get shot. So I said, like 100. And next thing you know, like SWAT teams come down my street. It's, I'm in the wrong spot here. I gotta find.
Turn right, then arrive at your next stop.
Yeah, here it is. The police show up, and my next door neighbor was a DEA agent. He came out, and he's like, yeah, I saw that they were shooting fireworks first. Roger came out, then I heard gunshots. And they see all the stuff at the house, and it was just, I don't know, a crazy situation. And when I talk to some clients now, when I talk to prospective clients, and they're telling me their stories of why they have a gun or don't have a gun, and I'm like, dude, why do you got a gun? And they're like, dude, you don't know the neighborhood. And it just, well, I think I'm in the wrong spot. I gotta figure out where my Uncle John lives, because I know I'm at the right address. But anyway, it's just weird how it's like a trigger, because it makes me realize how lucky, how fortunate I was to get out. I mean, I was involved in some stuff, and I had a big mouth. We always joke about my big mouth. And when I learned to fight, my mouth got bigger, because I had gotten my ass beat so many times. And when someone says, oh, they're going to do something, I'm like, well, let's do it right now. And they would always be shocked, because there might be 3 of them, there might be 5 of them, there might be 10 of them. And I just start throwing hands. And it got me in trouble. It got me into a lot of fights. It put myself at risk. It put, people I know at risk. Again, just picture being at your house at 11 o'clock at night, and someone shoots up your house, puts a gun to your head, and starts shooting. But then there's that other part of it. It's not just that. It's not that fear of just getting jacked or getting in a fight or getting beat up or getting mugged. It's not that. It's the mentality of the neighborhood. It was when I was going to college to go play football at Alabama, people were like, you ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't no better than us. And when I left, I didn't think I was better, but I have an opportunity to go play ball. And when that didn't work out in the second year, after my second year, and there's that little tag in your locker, it says, you better go talk to Dr. So-and-so, because Foley, your grades are not doing well. And when I came back to New York, it was, what's up, college boy? Thought you were the shit. Thought, like, you ain't no better, blah, blah. And there were people, selling dope, doing stupid stuff. And I remember I didn't have to go. I chose to go to Nassau Community College for 1 year, just so I could be away. I drove an hour to go to school at a community college, because like working in the factory, like, oh, thought you were playing ball, thought you were going to the NFL, Foley, that kind of stuff. And it's as much as, it's weird how they talk about home people will cheer for you, but there's a lot of people that will talk shit, and a lot of people that will root for you to fail. And people do. It's just crazy. Like you know, if I have a friend and they have a business idea or they do something, like I'm like, hey man, like, oh, hey, that's cool, like da da da. Like I listen to them and I'm like, hey, that's great, keep it positive and like, you know, help your fellow man up and stuff like that. But you know, where I came from, it wasn't really like that a lot. I mean, of course, you have your unique friends. I had, you know, Cliff and JC and Sean and you know, again, but that's not CI. That's outside of CI. Cliff was in Icelandia and JC was in Selden and Richie was in Islip Terrace. I had my friends that were always positive, but the growing up, a lot of the people that I was in elementary school, junior high school, that continued on, like just a negative vibe. Then you just had your crazies, like you know, your people. There was always like those guys that you're like, damn, I hope I don't have to run across that guy. Even though I could fight, it didn't matter. And again, the reason I talk about these things is because now, you know, as a middle-aged man, I have clients that come in that get into fights, that get into bar fights, that get into a fight with their neighbor, that pull a gun, that have carjackings, that have road rage. And I listen to them and it's like, it just seems like more and more of it. Like when I was in CI, I thought, well, hey, it's because I'm in CI, but like these people are doing this shit in like Jupiter and Palm Beach Gardens and West Palm Beach and Boca Raton. And you're like, but everyone has their ways, the things that they have to encounter. And it's scary when you hear about people pulling guns and shooting. And, you know, I've had clients come to my office, they've been shot. I've had clients that have been arrested for, you know, shooting at somebody. I've never done a murder, but I've done shootings, I've done stabbings. Represented a guy years ago that stabbed someone over like a CD. But it's weird when I go through these cases, right? Even though I'm so far away, right? Jupiter, Florida versus Central Islip, Long Island, New York. There's still like that connection to it. Like I understand it because of how I grew up, because of the violence. So, you know, people say, well, how do you do this? And I just go, well, I knew a lot of good people that did messed up stuff, sometimes just because of the circumstances. And maybe they had 4 options and they picked the best of those options, but all 4 options sucked, right? Maybe they robbed a store. Maybe they, you know, did something, they jacked somebody. Maybe they stole a car. It's just weird because, you know, all that stuff was like common practice, common things you would see all the time in Central Islip. Like just people like just beating the hell out of somebody, like 4 guys beating on one guy, like right next door to the Spanish store or the liquor store or whatever. And now all these years later, like I'm dealing it, I'm giving people advice. So it's just weird. Anyway, I'm just rambling. I'm going to go see my uncle. I feel fortunate. I feel blessed to get out and to make a difference and to basically have a life. So anyway, I'm attorney Roger P. Foley. My rambles. I know one guy tells me I talk too much. He's like, your video should be 4 or 5 minutes. Just watch 4 or 5 minutes of it then. Anyway, see you guys. Bye.